Hey, what's up guys? Tim with Outcast Fabrication Shop. How you guys doing today? Today I want to talk about grinders. Everything from start to finish, large to small, and a lot of the different options and uses for each grinder. Typically, these grinders run at least 2,000 RPMs or higher. So to start the video off, I want to go over a little bit of the safety behind these grinders. The grinders rotate in a circular direction at, like I said, very high RPM, some up to 7,000 RPMs, you know, as low as 1,000 RPMs. Typically around 2,000 is where you want to be, or higher. With that in mind, what'll happen is, with the rotation of that, is you're going to get a lot of sparks, you're going to get a lot of debris, and you don't want to be in its path, if you will. You want to have your safety glasses on. You want to have a good set of gloves on when you're working, because not only will it protect your hands from the debris and maybe chunks that are flying off of some of the wheels that we'll go through, but also because of the temperature. As you're grinding along that steel, believe it or not, it's going to heat up and it's going to get real hot. So you don't want to just reach for it and grab it, even with gloves on. So keep that in mind. We use ear muffs, and we wear a denim apron. So we cover basically all the safety before we ever even pick up our grinder and begin use with it. So moving forward, what we have out here in front of us today is large to small, starting with the 7-inch Black & Decker. This is an industrial angle grinder. And one thing with all size grinders is there's many applications. I mean, there's multiple different types of cup stones, grinding wheels, wire wheels, flat discs. I mean, there is literally 100 variants you can do with these. So what we'll typically do is we'll take a piece of steel, whatever it is, say we're working with some square stock, and before you can weld it, you want to cut it down to length. We use our Makita abrasive 14-inch chop saw here for cutting it to a rough length. And then we can use our grinders here to do any additional smaller cuts, detail cuts, if you will. The cool thing about these is they're very versatile, and you can find what system works for you, what size grinder works for you, and go from there. Because if you jump all the way down here to the smallest of them all, that's ran by air, it has wire wheel attachments, it has cutoff wheel attachments, and the nice thing about it is it's very small, so you can get into a very detailed area with this thing as opposed to this large one here. On the flip side to that, if you're trying to move a lot of material quick, say you're grinding down some big thick beads or some big heavy pieces of angle that just aren't butting up correctly, you need to bust this big guy out right here. And you can also find, like I said, almost any wheel attachment you want to put on here for whatever you're working on. Now as we jump over here, we'll jump down a notch. From the 7-inch, you can get a 5-inch. They have, I believe they even have 6-inch, 5.5. There's so many. We have two 4.5-inch ones here. We recently just purchased this Milwaukee 4.5-inch grinder, and you can see we have the flap disc on there. And this flap disc is my favorite for removing the mill scale and surface rust on any of your steel stock that's maybe sitting around, or you just purchased it from the steel yard. This is my favorite. It doesn't have the little wires flying off like the wire wheels do, because this is also a very good option, but like I said, as it breaks down, these little wires break loose and they will stick in you. So that's where your shield and your apron and your safety glasses all really come into play, is with these wire wheels. And you can buy, believe it or not, some of the gnarliest wire wheels. I mean, you you could probably grind concrete with some of them. But anyway, back over to this. So with the flat disc, and you can see here's a brand new flat disc. This is a 80 grit here, and this is a 60 grit here. You can kind of see it gets worn down and rounded because when you're using this and removing that mill scale at 3,500 RPM, these individual pieces of sandpaper are going around and doing all the work for you, and they're removing that. Let me tell you another reason why I like the flat disc for prepping my steel as opposed to, let's go with the grinding, your typical grinding disc. This is a 4.5 inch, about a medium thickness angle grinding wheel disc. The only problem with these is they will actually shape the steel. The flat disc will as well, but if you're using like an 80 grit, that's typically what I like to use. This is it. This is what you want. So just keep those things in mind. We'll make more videos with these grinders as we're actually using them in the shop and show you some of the different applications, and we'll just go from there. Like I said, so many different uses. Cut-off wheels, very thin cut-off wheels for cutting your steel to the perfect shape. You don't want to use a cut-off wheel as a grinding disc. It's so thin that if you were to do that, it would actually shatter on you, and believe it or not, I've had a piece of these grinding wheels stuck in my stomach and it wasn't pretty. So don't use them as a grinding wheel. Cut-off disc, very thin, like a cracker. Flat disc, great for removing paint, rust. The only thing is the paint will kind of gum up in these, so that's why I do like these wire wheels for removing paint. See, for removing paint, these are good because it knocks the paint off and exposes the steel, bare steel, and you're good to go. These grinding wheels I use mainly for shaping the steel. If I'm going to use this to remove a surface rust or something, it's going to be on a very thick piece of plate steel or something that I don't really care about the surface of it as much. But you can get these flat disc, and I believe like all the way up to 300, 400 grit, very, very fine, maybe even more than that. And all the way down, I seen like 26 grit. It looks like rocks stuck to the bottom of it for heavy, heavy, heavy removal. Keep that in mind. The Dremel's cool. See, the Dremel has way, way more uses, but all of them are in a finer, finer detail. I mean, these are so far opposite end of the spectrum that they almost never cross paths, as opposed to these two things, you're working on the same things. These are great. Variable speed. This is the Dremel 4000. It does wire wheels, sanding wheels, stone wheels. You can sharpen with this, carve with this. We use this for sheet metal and small projects, building like Tonka style small toys. Great. Once again, the Air one is, this is a very popular option. The only problem with it is that you have to run it off the compressor, and our compressor runs 220, so you're going to be pulling a shitload more electricity on this as opposed to just running a 110 grinder. And I mean, this is a very, very efficient tool. We, like I said, we recently purchased this one. We had this Ryobi here for several years. I'd say at least 10 years, and it's kind of getting to the end of the road. So we're breaking this new one in here, and it works great. And this Black & Decker Industrial is probably every bit of 20 years old and runs like it's brand new. I've recoated the cord with heat shrink, and we love this thing. Back to this saw, we'll do a little side note here. We are going to be buying the cold cut saw and doing reviews with that, and kind of putting these to the test and showing you the difference from the abrasive saw to the cold cut saw, and the cleanliness and the amount of mess this thing makes as opposed to the cold cut saw is just unbelievable. So we're excited to get to that. That'll be coming up here shortly. So that basically breaks it down. So just to review, removing heavy material, shaping large steel. You can use a cup disc like this. You can see it's curved, beveled, or a flat disc. And this thing works great. High RPMs, lots of torque. You can come down here to the 4.5 inch. Same thing, a lot more versatile. And you can do the same things. Cut off wheels, grinding wheels, flat disc, wire wheels, etc. Electric Dremel for your wood maybe projects you're doing. Maybe you're doing wood. Maybe you're adding wood and steel together, working on some sort of a rat rod or something. This thing works great. I don't have it here in front of me, or I would show you some of the sheet metal that we've cut with this thing, and I love it. And then back over here, we've got the air-driven peanut grinder, if you will. If you will. Here's the wheels you can put on there. 3-inch small cutoff wheels. These work phenomenal. These work great. Basically what you've got here is a high-powered air Dremel, and you can put this same style wheel on your Dremel and do the same exact thing and not have to run the large compressor. That's it. So cost efficient. I recommend the 4.5, even over the 5. As you can see, I have two 4.5s, and then I jump all the way to the 7. So I'm trying to give myself the widest range there. You can pick these used anywhere from probably $50 to $150, depending on what it comes with and the condition it's in. And they're easy to work on and last forever. So that's basically it for the grinder review today. Outcast Fabrication Shop. You can see we've got our stickers here. Hit subscribe, and we will be sending out all subscribers will be getting a sticker. Regardless, I don't care if I get 2 million subscribers, you're all getting a sticker, and we'll work out those details moving forward. Once again, I'm Tim with Outcast Fabrication Shop. Thanks a lot, guys.